All right, my babies, we're doing more from my parents' house. And the reason for that is clearly food, right? So, all right, let me update you about yesterday and today. Uh, Yesterday, I met somebody yesterday where I got the chance to explain, to show all the work that I've done ever since I started working on my platform. And there's a, I don't know, I'm sure at one point everyone kind of like shows others their work. Maybe we don't take what we do seriously, maybe we think it's normal. But a feeling clicked with me, kind of like stuck throughout the day. A sort of inspired feeling, to be perfectly honest. And this is literally like, I was able to look at my work from the beginning all the way to the moment where I was and kind of explain. And it's funny because I've been doing this every single day and I have forgotten in a way why I started it. I have forgotten why I started YouTube. I have forgotten why I work out. I have forgotten why not why I walk every day. It's for God and the universe. But I have forgotten why I actually like have this view on society that I keep discussing and I keep bringing up. I've forgotten why it matters to have this view and why I kind of wanted to like, why I decided this is the right approach, the conviction behind my approach to live my life. And it was such a fucking, I want to say blessing to be able to do that and to be able to do that with kind of like value in return. And the value in return is literally just kind of like me having like 3 hours of that day completely zoned out, completely just uh, an experimental approach to just my thoughts and feelings that come out of regurgitating things that have become so normalized by me that I forgot their essence. It's just super funny because like we could do that with good feelings, bad feelings, great feelings, average feelings. Don't really like we would do that with anything. And it seems like the habit of normalization is kind of like the worst thing we can get stuck into. But again, it was literally just me opening my mouth and kind of like talking about something that led to something else. And eventually I opened my computer and I was like, but this, but this, but this, but this. And it just kind of like got me excited to just explore the day without adding anything new to my mind. And it was super fun. I very much kind of like was inspired by the work that has been put so far. Concept, the creation, the thought, even though every single day I look at myself and I go like, why aren't you done yet? Why aren't you done yet? But again, a few things happened this week that have triggered me to look at things differently. And again, like being stuck really just is not something you could see for yourself. And the best thing you could do probably is explore your situation, not explore, explain. And there's explanation from an excuse or there's explanation from a description. I'm pointing at describing. And once you describe kind of like your situation and the story that led you to the situation, you're bound to find like a couple of Easter eggs that will allow you to notice the things that not necessarily could change, but the things that have pointed you in the direction that you are, pointed you in into the towards the position that you're in right now. And I've made many videos about this. Is like the position that you are right now is literally the most important one, and it's there for a fucking reason. But sometimes this position is held on to for a longer period of time, and super kind of like it's the engaging process behind where you are actually like not where you're trying to go, but the engaging process with like where you are right now and how did you reach here? And then you decide the how does it matter? And if it's something that's attuned to basically to you, right? Because sometimes if you're doing something that you're not really harmonious with, it takes your mind away with like why you're kind of like in the process right now. And you could be doing the right thing for the wrong reason and still be moving forward and realize what you're doing and how far you're getting. But then look at yourself and you go like, you know what? There's like the momentum that I want to be picking is not really happening, mainly because you kind of feel objectively constraining yourself. And basically, that's like kind of like what happened yesterday after like I would call it a presentation of some sort, where I kind of like explained the story and explained all the work and kind of like allowed me to like look at myself and all right, but where am I now when it comes to this work and how far have I taken it and what am I waiting for and what is it that's kind of like missing when it comes to it, especially when it comes to the work that I did because it was complete at the time until I kind of like did it, and then when I did it, I should have like done more with it, but my mind was always articulating certain things ultimately because like I think it's because I never had money to kind of like I never had I never had money to talk to people to professionals that know what the fuck they're doing and kind of like point things that I would have had to like study for or kind of like gain experience around and shit like this. Super fun couple of days, which leads us to today's video. Today's video is we're not writing history, we're storytelling the past. And we're not creating history, sorry, we're storytelling the pasts. Here you go. And it's a simple change in my perspective towards what it is that I'm doing. And I chose storytelling the past for a reason, mainly because like what I just said earlier. And again, like it's super funny how kind of like these notes harmonize with my days or my days harmonize with my notes or it's just everything's kind of like connected but a part of me kind of like is brought out anytime I'm getting closer to something that I'm done. Maybe it's the mind that kind of like has them sorted, but I don't really have that awareness towards their sortedness. But so we're not creating history because that's like the worst thing you could say. Ultimately, because history is history, and whatever you're creating right now should technically be either the present or the future. But it's a common saying, like we're creating history right now. And if I would rather look at it from a storytelling perspective, because ultimately, when we're talking about history, we're telling the story about history. We're not really like we okay, so like here's okay, that's a better way to approach it. In Egypt, there was a president, and his name was Jamal Abdel Nasser. And I think at one point he was a teacher or something like this, like a professor or something. And then he became a rebel, right? And that's history. And then he became the president, and then he became a traitor. Again, that is not that's not what he became. That is the story of where he was and how he kind of like in different parts of time, the story about him was told differently. So this creating history, like we are creating history, but horrible people created history at one point, and we tell horrible stories about their creations. Back in the day, maybe their creations were on point. Maybe whatever it is they were working on were kind of like were accepted. And if we look at what we're doing every single day as a creation of history, in order for us to empower kind of like our legacy, right? We might as well just kind of like approach it from the story side, because ultimately it's the story that sticks, and it's the story that keeps us. I don't know that it's the story that drives what we have accomplished, or what we have been doing or what our vision was and all that stuff. So instead of saying we're creating history, when you say you're creating history, you're creating something and leaving it for everyone to objectively kind of like, I don't know, decide upon it. But I feel like if you're storytelling the past, because ultimately the present moment never exists except in the present. And so anything that you do and you say is automatically in the past, then the one thing that connects you to it is the story behind it. And so why would you want to create history? But story tell the past so that your creations actually last. Ooh, story tell the past so that your creations actually last. Hi, it's a video. I'm gonna write that down.